Hey everyone, welcome back to Verified Gains. So let's dive right into the Bitcoin markets over here. Um, Current price $84 to $85,000. Today we opened at around 83, slightly below $84,000, and currently we are forming a green candle, which is great to see. Um, in terms of where we go from here, well, it's interesting, right? So, these days, yes, I've been talking a lot about the news, you know, which is not my usual style, but why not pay attention to it? The US government is pausing some of its taxes or tariff, as you know. Um, the most recent news is that maybe there's going to be an exception for the auto parts that are being produced outside of the United States. So that is an interesting update. Perhaps with these tariff exemptions, we'll actually see some bounce back up, which is no surprise, as you guys already know. In terms of Bitcoin, yeah, look, let's not make the video too long, okay? We don't have to make the video too long, so let's just go through all the important assets and what to look out for this week. Because, as you guys may already know, I like to make a video once over the weekend, once on a Monday, and I'm usually too busy during the week unless there's like a big news or some significant price action. And I usually make one again on Friday or Saturday. This Friday in particular because I am going to dollar cost average a significant amount into Solana and POPCAT. In terms of Bitcoin, for example, if you're interested in Bitcoin, I'll tell you a little bit about Bitcoin. Not a whole lot in this, you know, middle section. And we do want to see it above $98,000. So not much going on right now. Okay, we do seem to be consolidating at this line. I would say probably, and to be fair, probably some resistance at 85,000. So fine, I'll kind of say, excuse me, that maybe we'll pay attention to this local resistance line over here. That's not a hard resistance line, but I think it's fair that I do draw one over here just because we've been retesting and breaking through multiple times at this resistance line. So I do want to see it consolidate above that. Until then, there's an equal likelihood that we will retest the $72,000, and it will largely depend on a lot of the events happening this week. So moving on, and by the way, so somebody was asking, hey, what's going on with Ethereum? It really does look like nothing is going on compared to the other, layer ones. And Ethereum is one of those, alternative assets that has done historically well, dating all the way back to, well, let's just talk about, 2017 and 2020. And 2020 and 2021. And this year, it has been relatively disappointing because, arguably the other assets have done better. Well, to be fair, I think it actually does look pretty similar to Solana, to be fair. I still think Ethereum is an okay asset. Am I buying more? No, but if you're not buying Solana, then I do think Ethereum is the best next thing. Um, and it really is literally $1 million question whether, Ethereum, people should pay more attention to it, or we should just forget about it altogether and pay more attention to Bitcoin and other layer ones, because we have so many now. In my humble opinion, I still think it is worth investing if you're interested. And if you do revert to the previous all-time high, that is plus 150%, which is no joke. And I do believe that for some reason, the prices have been largely suppressed throughout this whole cycle. And once we actually do see that exponential growth, similar to this over here, then I see why we wouldn't be able to reach higher highs and form new all-time highs. And by the way, so, in terms of Ethereum, that's pretty much my whole opinion on that. I mean, I'm not drawing any technicals. Yes, I have a resistance line here at 2100, but, I'm not buying Ethereum. I'm not really looking at it. So that's really all I can say. By the way, I just want to come back to Bitcoin for two things. Number one, we haven't looked at the Pi cycle top indicator in a really long time. And if you guys have a question about this Pi cycle top indicator, watch my old videos, because I'm not going to start from scratch on this video. Okay, just go back and watch my old videos. But if we do look at the Pi cycle top indicator, we are still below the 111-day moving average. So we're still, I think we're still in the oversold / undervalued territory. I mean, if we're at least above, or touching the 111-day moving average, my opinion would change. But, like seeing this much drawdown, I mean, since, third week of February, where we're consolidating below the 111-day moving average, there's a whole lot of sell side pressure right now. And when we do zoom out, and I just want to show the, these timelines over here in terms of when the Bitcoin cycle top will be. And if you have a question about that, again, please watch my old videos, right? But my prediction for Bitcoin cycle top still stands around, mid-September, right? And that, that really hasn't changed for me, around like September 15th, September 16th. So we literally only have 5 months left to go, which is crazy to think about, but only 5 more months. And it's going to be a tough one because, I mean, how much can Bitcoin go up in 5 months? I always wonder, how much. And, I've been corrected many times before because cryptocurrency is still one of those things where it does blow my mind from time to time. We always try to be rational and think, oh, well, there's no way, the crypto market's going to, behave in such manner, X and Y manner. And they always prove you wrong. I have yet to see a quote unquote Bitcoin expert who is able to exactly predict. So, well, maybe that applies to this as well. We'll take this with a grain of salt, but this is just my personal opinion, not financial advice. So I hope to be proven wrong because, I mean, we're going to have to see this type of rally, in 5 months. That I don't know how it's going to pan out. But let's say that, we stop around $150,000. Maybe that's a more realistic target, right, guys? So, then that would, I mean, barely touch the 350-day moving average times 2 line over here at the green. I mean, a lot of the pi cycle top indicator is based on the idea that you're, shooting up so much that the 111-day moving average eventually, touches or crosses over the 350-day moving average times two. So where is that momentum? Where is that velocity going to come from? Yeah, it's going to be very interesting summer and fall, in my opinion. So I just want to give you guys a quick reminder about the timeline because I really haven't talked about the timeline in quite some time. And so let's not lose focus of our goal, our objective over here. Okay. I mean, the one other possibility is in 5 months, what if we get here? By the way, this prediction is different from the pi cycle top indicator, at least from a technical analysis point of view. It's just so that we have some guidance as to when the pi cycle top will actually happen. But what if we get to mid-September and the pi cycle top still hasn't hit? Then do we choose to do I choose to sell some of it, or at that point does this thesis go out the window and we only pay attention to the pi cycle top? And once again, that is another $1 million question. So we'll see. Talking about Solana very quickly. So by the way, so it looks like, as long as we close above $126, I'm actually going to preemptively go ahead and change this to a support line. Looking great so far. We basically rallied, from the bottom over here at $95, around 101 depending on who you ask. We rallied, we broke through the $126 mark, retested, and now we're consolidating. Okay, so we're doing great. And as long as we remain above $126, yes, I am dollar cost averaging into more Solana. And finally, POPCAT. So far, we're holding. We did have a little bit of retest of the 24-25 cent mark over here. However, we're doing pretty good so far. I mean, with meme coins, do I even bother drawing a technical line? I mean, meme coins are very, very risky, FYI. So I know I'm doing this because I am a risk taker, but in general, please be careful with meme coins. But anyways, fine. I will draw a resistance, a support line here, excuse me, around 24.5 cents. And it looks like so far we're doing pretty good. So, as long as we remain above, 25 cents, I will probably dollar cost average into POPCAT as well. And right now, and by the way, I really do appreciate your viewership, and for any of you who have subscribed to my channel. And I did notice that the POPCAT videos in particular have been getting a little bit more views. So, I do believe that that's where people's, interests lie. And which is no surprise because at the end of the day, people inherently want to make money. And, where do you make the most money in cryptocurrency? Well, that is going to be in the low market cap, ultra risky assets, and meme coins are definitely the face of ultra risky assets. And PopCat in particular, because like I've said before, you can buy them on Coinbase and Robinhood, in terms of centralized exchanges. And whether you like it or not, and whether you're more educated on cryptocurrencies to utilize decentralized exchange or not, the reality is whatever going to be on the centralized exchanges is going to draw the attention. It's going to draw the more average retail traders slash investors. And those meme coins are going to be the ones that are going to be the next, Dogecoin, Inu, Pepe, what have you. And so I'm very hopeful for PopCat. I do hope to buy more before we go up too high. Once we reach the previous all-time high of, $2, at that point, whew, um, I'll probably stop buying more. That is my current, um, you know, current philosophy. But guess what? Once we actually hit $2, that's when a lot of people are going to be pouring into something like PopCat. Because right now, people don't look at the markets every day. Okay, the average person, has a normal job. They have other more important things in life to take care of. Okay, they're not just going to be glued in front of the computer screen looking at charts all day. So they're not going to be paying attention to this type of relatively short historical data. Really, they're going to get most of their news or sentiment from the most recent trend, which is this great drawdown from $2 to 20 cents. And well, why would they buy in? Well, once it starts exploding up, more and more people are going to talk about it. Okay, first, it's going to be, some more of like quote unquote underground community, like Twitter X. Okay, and then maybe Reddit will talk about it, and then maybe they'll get a notification on Coinbase, or maybe they'll start watching some YouTube creator like me, and they'll say, holy, it really has been going up the past like few months from 20 cents to $2. I better buy in more. And that's really human psychology. I mean, that's when they're going to say they're going to buy in more. Now, a lot of people are going to be asking the question, okay, do I buy in right now? It's already gone up 10x. Do I buy or do I just wait on the sidelines? And that is the exact beginning of FOMO. People are going to start FOMOing into cryptocurrency, and that has happened every single cycle. Okay, that's just human psychology. And when are they going to FOMO in? When it's risen high enough. So imagine if PopCat went to, $10. That's when people are going to start FOMOing in because they've been just watching on the sidelines all this time. Okay, they're like, okay, well, I'll buy in when the price drops again. You know what? Let me just see how the PopCat does before I invest my hard-earned money. And then once it starts exploding, go, go, go. FOMO. I feel FOMO. My friends and families are making thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars on cryptocurrency. I want to get rich. And then by that time, I don't know. In any case, it's already been 19 minutes, so I'm going to stop the video here. Once again, thanks for watching and thanks for listening in. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do, especially if you're into PopCat. Okay, so if you're into Solana or PopCat, please subscribe. Really appreciate it. I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.